Yes, Mzansi, welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And what an incredible conversation we are about to enter into. Listen up, be open to this, because embarking on a journey of self-acceptance, as we know it, is not an easy one. Now, something we all can relate to and struggle with on a daily basis. I know I definitely do as well. Now, we can find inspiration from today's panel discussion, and that's also inspiration that's going to come through from an upcoming release of a movie called The Inspection. Now, this one's starring Jeremy Pope and Gabrielle Union. Now, it's a story of a young gay black man with a few options for his future, so he decides to join the Marines. Now, willing to do whatever it takes, he tries to prove himself to his estranged mother and triumph in a system that would otherwise cast him aside. Let's take a look at the trailer.
You will tuck it in! Aye, aye, sir! Aye, aye, sir!
Ever been convicted of a felony? Are you communist?
60, 50, 40!
Are you now, or have you ever been a homosexual?
No, sir!
I will break you. I promise.
Are you in trouble?
Ma, I need my birth certificate. I need you to help me. I'm gonna be a Marine.
Marines. No, you ain't gayer than two left shoes, and everybody can see it.
And more than 50 have been wounded or injured in this attack, including several American servicemen who were on patrol there.
This all I have left of the dream I held for you.
Real question is, why do you want to be here?
I want to be a Marine.
That's not good enough.
To be a good Marine means to know thyself and seek self-improvement. That means you, damn it!
Aye, sir!
They kicked you out, didn't they?
My mom, she won't even talk to me. Most of my friends are dead or in jail. If I die in this uniform, I'm a hero. Somebody.
Boot camp is supposed to break you down.
Wanna go home? If we leave, they win.
Why is this weapon your best friend, recruit?
Because it's the thing that protects the Marine to my left and to my right, sir.
I could have left you at any doorstep.
I am never giving up on us.
I don't know how you felt about that, but I definitely got some shivers, intense to say the least. But we're going to carry on with this conversation. We're going to welcome our experts to help us unpack this topic. We've got registered counsellor Melissa Smith, as well as mental health counsellor Sade Dubois. Ladies, welcome to the couch. How are you doing this morning? Sorry to stir up the emotion while watching that, but I think it's so applicable to exactly what we're discussing right now. And let's get straight into it, because I think for many of us, when we're talking about self-acceptance, it involves self-esteem as well. There might be a difference. Sade, maybe you could possibly assist us on this. What is the difference and how do we define them?
Sure. So they are very closely intertwined. We can assume that once we achieve self-acceptance, our self-esteem will fluctuate much less. Our self-esteem is essentially how we feel about ourselves at any given point in time, but it does ebb and flow because it is often influenced by external experiences, external validation, accomplishments or stress or social interactions. Saying that self-acceptance is the general sort of permission that we give ourselves to not be perfect. Okay. It is a bit more complex than self-esteem because it is very much linked to our mental health.
Yeah.
A good level of self-acceptance is a much better predictor of mental well-being than self-esteem is.
Okay.
But you know, when we do focus on our self-acceptance, our self-esteem tends to fluctuate a lot less.
Yeah, and would I be right in saying that if you have self-esteem and you know how you feel in that situation, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm accepting it, right? I might feel a certain way, but I don't necessarily acknowledge it or not dealing with it, and that also assists in that difference, I'd imagine,
sure,
right?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so then it's something that I think everybody realizes as important work. But why do we struggle so much? Melissa, maybe you can shed light on this. Why do we struggle so much to deal with self-acceptance? Why do we struggle to kind of like face this thing inside of us? It's almost like this internal battle that goes on. Why is there so much friction here?
I think definitely even like what she mentioned about having the external influences. When people's constantly telling you what you are, who you are, you know, it starts to influence how you think about yourself. And when that happens, there's that internal battle because you know where you want to go. Sometimes you have direction for yourself. You know how you feel about something. But when somebody else comes and they change, you know, that thought process about yourself, there's that internal battle. Like even in the movie, you know, he wants to be what he wants to be, but his mom wants him to be what she wants him to be. So there's that constant
living
battle.
out different narratives, and you kind of got to choose.
So it's
between what's
external,
yours.
the external influences that cause that internal battle.
Okay, so where does this kind of all start? I mean, can we take it back to, like, let's say our youth? Is it something that maybe our parents have an impact on? Because I can imagine it's like self-esteem, self-acceptance. This has got to do with our mental health, the way we feel about ourselves. If you've got a parent that's showering you with love or shouting at you, I'm sure this can have an impact, right?
Definitely.
Shode, how does this really impact it at the end of the day?
Sure, it has a profound impact. In fact, I think one of the most common reasons we struggle with self-acceptance is because of early childhood experiences. So, you know, essentially we are taught what is acceptable and what is not acceptable by our parents and caregivers, often based on their values and priorities, which are sometimes very arbitrary. And this can lead to problems with self-acceptance later on in life, especially if our parents, like you said, were hypercritical or had very fixed ideas or lacked empathy. So yeah, this can be a big source of the problem.
Big factor indeed. But look, this conversation is just getting started. We've identified what exactly our issues are and what self-acceptance is all about. But we're going to dive into this topic a little bit further. And obviously, in light of what's happening tomorrow, we've got the release of the movie, The Inspection, and it's something that you all want to get involved in. But for now, we're going to carry on serving you up with some magic. Enjoy.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show. We're back, of course, with our panel discussing the so-important factor. Yes, the importance of self-acceptance. Now, this is a theme based off the latest film releasing this weekend. It's called The Inspection. And again, we are joined by registered counsellor Melissa Smith and mental health counsellor Shade Dubois. Now, for you, Mzansi, what did it take for you to accept yourself, your whole true self? Yeah, a really important question that I feel not many of us actually are. So drop us some advice. Come through on that WhatsApp line. It's 063-408-8863. But ladies, again, I want to carry on with this conversation. It is so important, I believe, and so pertinent right now. We kind of identified what self-acceptance was about. I want to know something that I noticed to be very, very important and something that's even more critical in terms of the way we operate and think is this concept of like social acceptance. We care so much about what other people think, whether it comes to how we look, even as far as our sexual identity. Why do we care so much about what other people think? Why can we just not be ourselves and be proud of that?
I think it's also because, you know, we have this innate need to belong. As human beings, we have this innate need to belong. And so you want to belong to something. You want to feel a part of something. And when that happens, sometimes even just when we spoke about the self-esteem, when you have a low self-esteem, you tend to want to feel like you fit in somewhere. And so you explore different aspects and you feel like, okay, if I go to social media and I see, oh, this person, you know, I resonate with this, let me go to that, I resonate with that friend group. So there's constantly that need to belong to something. And if we are not sure within ourselves of who we are, we tend to want to explore more groups and more people and more things, and that's when the influence becomes very dangerous for us.
Okay, dangerous game indeed. Now, when we are in that situation, let's say we aren't sure, right? And we're not necessarily seeking the external factors to validate that. How important, Shade, maybe is it when it comes to having that sort of internal dialogue, that sort of narrative within us, reminding ourselves of those like sort of affirmations, if anything, if that's the good word? How important is that? Does it have an impact here, or is it actually more the external that matters?
It is so important, the internal dialogue. In fact, this is one of the most important tools that we can use in order to improve our self-esteem and self-acceptance. the way we talk to ourselves is so critical to what thoughts manifest and what emotions manifest, and then ultimately what behavior manifests. So if we have a very negative way of talking to ourselves, the result is going to be quite negative behavior patterns or self-sabotaging behavior patterns. Whereas if we talk to ourselves with a level of care and compassion and love, we would then obviously have more positive emotions, or more positive thoughts, more positive emotions, and then ultimately more positive behavior patterns that are conducive to happiness and self-acceptance and just a higher level of quality of life, I suppose, yeah.
Awareness as well. Now, for me, something that I think could potentially present some crazy sort of situation in one's real life is if we maybe don't accept and do this work when it comes to self-acceptance, right? So, Melissa, maybe if you take an example of someone that's not accepting their sexual identity as an example and not presenting that to the world, not living their true selves, what sort of issues can arise from not actually dealing with this? Is this something to be concerned about? Is it something that we really need to not bottle because it could cause some sort of other negative impacts?
No, definitely it does have a negative impact when you don't accept who you are, because it affects your mental health. Accepting yourself, as we mentioned, affects your quality of life. So if you don't accept who you are, you don't go on that journey of exploring and really doing introspection, it can affect your mental health to the point where it can cause depression, because you're isolating yourself. And when you isolate yourself, you fall into this rut and you block everybody else out. And so it's just you in yourself with your negative thoughts, having that negative self-dialogue with yourself. And so it has the potential to lead to something as depression, anxiety, even just general anxiety, like going into certain places, facing certain people. So ultimately, it can affect your mental health in a negative way if you don't explore who you are and you don't spend time doing the introspection with yourself.
Oh, I love that. Be your own cheerleader, I say. I like that. Now, of course, Mzansi, we're going to carry on this conversation. We've got a last part and final conclusion to self-acceptance, something that's so important right now. And of course, the reason why we're chatting about this is because of, in light of the movie coming out this weekend, The Inspection, an absolutely incredible score, someone that's going through the most, a gay man that's trying to find himself, trying to find self-acceptance, but at the same time dealing with so many external issues, especially in this movie. You'll see so much and it's going to evoke so much emotion. For now, though, let's talk about some emotion when it comes to the belly, and let's feed that soul.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. Your Feel Good Breakfast Show. What an incredible show it's been already. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being a part of this pertinent conversation. We're back on the panel discussing the importance of self-acceptance. Now, this obviously is a theme based off the latest film releasing this weekend, The Inspection. And we are joined this morning by with registered counsellor Melissa Smith, as well as mental health counsellor Sade Dubois. Now, the question we had for you, Mzansi, is what does it take for you to accept yourself, your whole true self? And again, please drop us a line, come through with some advice or any tips that you have on 063-408-8863. Ladies, I want to get deep, I want to get real, because there's some scenarios and situations that I'm seeing in the world right now that are alarming, to say the least. One, for instance, being social media. It creates this, I don't know, like this slightly narcissistic approach to life where you need to show off things that are trending, but you might not necessarily even be interested in it, but you're just doing it because it's the trend and I want to fit in and it's cool. And you kind of almost, in a sense, are getting steered away from your own path and the things that you love and that you are resonating with. How do we steer away from losing our way? How do we, or what can we do to kind of prevent this from happening and really ensure that we are living our truth and following our own path? Sade, a meaty question, but maybe you can assist us here.
Sure. So I think the answer lies in less focus on external validation, and we put so much pressure on ourselves to show up for external sources of validation, and our own introspection just falls away. We need to know what we are in alignment with, what we agree with, what we don't agree with, and we need to listen to our physiological responses when it comes to things that we feel comfortable with, and when we don't feel comfortable with them. We should be putting boundaries in place in real life and on social media. Unfortunately, it's just become so easy to look at social media as like a source of validation. when the source of validation should really be cultivated within ourselves.
Yeah.
When we are living in alignment, it is the most content we can be. When we place our self-esteem on something so fragile like an external source of validation or a like or a comment on social media, yeah, we can run into some problems.
I can imagine that. And it's almost a weird thought because we, in the situation, almost show up for everybody else but ourselves. How can you do that? Why are you doing that, Mzansi? Melissa, another meaty question, which for me I see so often in this world, and especially when it comes to identifying with our own sexuality. We might know or feel that answer within us, but when we try speak to our loved ones, our family members, people that we think we trust and are close to, there's that intimidating factor of, I need to tell them the truth here, but there's also sometimes these moments there where you are not met with the love that you might expect. You're met with disagreement, or you break up relationships. Some families, based on religious factors potentially or cultural factors, do not condone certain identifications when it comes to your sexuality. How do we deal with this? How do we, in this moment, take pride and confidence in ourselves and our own identity when everyone around us is not supporting it? What do we do?
I think it's, like you said, it's such a meaty question and also just very complex. And I think when that happens, I don't think there's any quick-cut way of putting it, you know, because everybody experiences things differently. But I think one thing that you need to know is be confident in who you are. And like we said previously in the panel, like, if you don't accept who you are, it's very difficult when external factors come and they want to tell you who you are. So a large part of that comes from the self and that positive internal dialogue and accepting who you are. And also just understanding that you'll never be able to control what other people say, how they respond, what they do. The only control that we have is how we respond and what we do as an individual. And once you come to that acceptance of, in this season, I'm accepting this about myself, then even if you do, you will get disappointed. You will get disappointed, you will feel hurt, you might feel a bit of rejection, but to understand that you cannot control how people treat you, but how you respond to them is ultimately very important, and having that boundaries, not allowing people to create a toxic environment for yourself. That's very important.
I absolutely love that. Look, this conversation has stirred up so many comments, especially with the viewers, and we've got a voice note coming through from Gary Orkamp, good friend of ours. Actually, it's a comment that's come through. Let's read what he has to say. It says, going through puberty during the 90s, I struggled with my sexuality. The government, churches, schools, and schoolmates all made being gay as an abomination. I was almost brainwashed into believing I was a freak. I would literally put up notes in my bedroom to stop these feelings. I was so reluctant to babysit my nieces and nephews because we were made to believe that gay guys were pedophiles. Once I realized I wasn't any of these things, I was able to love myself and know that I was born this way, out, proud, and happy. Gary, beautiful comment, and I'm so glad that you could find yourself in this chaos. And I think this is exactly what we're speaking about, is we need to disregard all this noise around us and really start opening up that dialogue with ourselves. I don't know what you guys think of what Gary's gone through, but this is something that I think a lot of us have dealt with in our past, right?
Yeah.
I think,
definitely.
yeah, and for me, I think it's something maybe important for you, Mzansi, too, is just to remember to live your life truly, rawly, and authentically. There's nothing and there's no bigger disservice that you can do than hide away from the world and not share your passion and your love. So go out there, be your biggest fan, your biggest cheerleader, and celebrate all the unique beauty within you, the good, the bad, the ugly. It presents an opportunity to improve, an opportunity to learn, and to continue to grow as we daily make a choice to live our truth. For now, though, this is obviously a reason as to why we had this conversation, because The Inspection's coming out this weekend, and it's a great movie that I think harps on this topic. It's a pertinent topic indeed, and I think for everybody we can learn a little bit from this. So, ladies, I want to thank you for this incredible conversation. You've shed some light on something that I think all of us could do some work on. And Mzansi, keep doing you, boo.